Hi, Bill Yannick here, your Connects CEO with today's edition of the Daily Grind. This is our daily effort at communicating with our members. You may have seen a few weeks and months back before all this COVID-19 stuff, we started doing a weekly grind when it talked about Connects 2020. But with all the issues we're dealing with as an FM community with COVID-19, we decided to go to a daily format every day at 1 Central. And so here it is. Today we have a great guest as Marc Insul is here from Commercial Asset Preservation, a number of years in the industry, multiple years as Prism and now Connects members. So Marc, welcome to the Daily Grind.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
And it's fantastic. We have such a reservoir of expertise within the Connects ranks. And Marc's going to talk to us today as we continue our theme on dealing with the front end of this COVID-19 crisis, on dealing with dark stores, and in particular, all these compliance and code requirements and FM requirements are still there, even as the potential of hundreds of facilities are closing. And so, Marc, why don't we start from the get-go of some of your general thoughts on considerations in dealing with dark store management?
So commercial asset preservation has a heavy focus on dark store properties. And in particular, as it relates to COVID-19, there's 3 elements that we think are critical to maintaining a temporarily closed property. Those are lawn care, or snow removal, depends on the season. Yep. And hopefully we will be at a point where snow removal becomes irrelevant before long before yes,
hopefully
COVID-19 is still around. Utilities, the maintenance of various utilities, and then oversight of the vacant facility so that there's an opportunity to reduce vandalism or life safety issues.
Interesting stuff. Yeah. And so with your company, and I probably should have done this at the get-go, how large of a footprint geographically do you all cover? Do you cover nationwide, North America?
We cover the United States and Canada.
Okay. Yeah, North America. And we certainly have Connects members across the continent. And so at the front end, you talked about these issues deal with lawn care, hopefully not snow removal and some other things. So let's think optimistically. So 60, 90 days or a little bit more than that, we have to come out of this COVID-19 and get people back into business. What are your thoughts, or what's your counsel on how to manage that dynamic?
So we'll go to snow removal first, because that's going to be the shortest time cycle here. Snow removal is going to be necessary depending upon the municipal code, and also with permitting life and safety, fire and safety resources to reach the property. So whatever access they need to get to the property, whether it's access to the hydrants, whether it's access to the front door, that's going to be relevant. Also, if a property is a pass-through to get to another building, for example, a freestanding restaurant in front of a property, and that has an access road to other properties in the rear, that will still need to be plowed. But ultimately the determining factor there is going to be municipal code for that area. With regard to lawn care should be maintained at the same level that it was if the property were to be operating. So our typical recommendation is bi-weekly lawn care. In some cases, it might be necessary to have weekly, depending on how fast the grass grows in that area. But that schedule should not change. Even though the property is vacant, the cities will still be looking to cite the landlord or the tenant for a failure to maintain the landscape. Now, one of the things that has come up and has been a heavy focus of both of our staff and in some cases our clients, they've asked whether or not services that we provide are essential services. And what guideline we're following there is from CISA, which is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency of Homeland Security. That tends to be the guideline that many of the states are adhering to. And specifically, they have pointed out that plumbers, electricians, exterminators, builders, contractors, HVAC technicians, and landscapers who are providing services that are essential to maintaining the safety, sanitation, and essential operation of properties can continue to operate. So that is the guideline by which we're following, and that can be found on the CISA website.
Okay, yes, and what we do at the end of these for audience out there is we'll get that link from you, Mark, and we'll put that up at connectsfm.com in our coronavirus resources page. That's great guidance and great input. So, any other thoughts as we navigate through this, or why don't I do so personally and with regard to your company? How are you all weathering this storm? What's been going on there?
So we had some unusual challenges. We have our operations office is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and 2 days after the state of Utah, or we started moving most of our staff to a work-at-home situation, there was earthquakes in Utah.
Oh, geez,
So,
I did see that. Oh my.
yeah, so there was a series of earthquakes. We had a handful of staff working from the office. After the earthquakes, they felt a lot more comfortable being at home. So we're down to a pretty skeleton crew, mostly back office functions at our office in Salt Lake City, and the rest of our employees are working from home. But we haven't. That being said, even though we encountered an earthquake, we have not seen any downturn in volume or any downturn in our ability to service our clients. So it's been, obviously, for everybody, this is a challenging time, but I think in the facilities business, we're fortunate enough to have work to keep us busy.
We talked a little bit about the multiple challenges yesterday. We talked about the storms in the Southeast. It seems like so long ago, I forgot about the darn earthquake. You can't make this stuff up. But just a pandemic and an earthquake, just a couple biblical challenges there.
Right. None of which was welcomed.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I certainly appreciate your time today. And we post all these episodes of the Daily Grind at connectsfm.com. And so you can rewatch this after you see the live broadcast today. But again, thank you for your time, Mark. I'm sure we'll be touching base with you in the future. And for Connects members, keep an eye out, because as we go through this, obviously we're not having Connects 2020 this year, but we're going to be having, at least in the near term, virtual meetings of all shapes and sizes throughout the Connects FM community as we get through this year. And hopefully, in no time, we're going to be back to having some in-person meetings later in 2020 and certainly in 2021. So that's today's episode of the Daily Grind. We're here every day, 1 Central, the same link and same time. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for joining us on the Daily Grind.